Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Generationally Speaking. Here at the table, we come and we discuss life issues, no matter what they might be. As we sit at the table with each generation, we all learn, we all grow, we all are inspired.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Generationally Speaking.
Christ-like disciples. So we did it ourselves. We had the classes. I wrote the booklets, notes of booklets myself, and distributed those to my own church members and trained my own pastoral staff to do the same, but also went out to train other staff, other pastors or pastoral staff from other churches to try to restore biblical teaching in the church, because we had learned from a hard way. We had learned on that just a converting people to Christian faith is not enough, and it is equal to almost nothing if those converts are not grounded in the biblical teaching for their faith and maturity.
So your pastors that you have trained and who are going out to do discipleship, are they doing that through small group meetings? How are they accomplishing this goal?
Every church that has a pastor who is teaching discipleship, they do it at different levels. They sometimes do it at ministry level in the church. There's discipleship for men, for women, for youth, for children at various levels of their growth. But there's also discipleship in the small groups. There's also what we call specialized discipleship, where special groups are doing special trainings as per the need they have, either questions they have or Bible study programs they follow through, or some specific teachings you do on a particular topic of their need. Yeah, like how do I grow my faith? Maybe Bible study methods. What is the understanding of the Holy Spirit? So every Christian can understand who the person of the Holy Spirit is and his role to the church, and so on and so forth. So we can do Bible teachings, also theological kind of courses that help Christians to mature and really have a thorough understanding in their Christian faith.
You talk about doing vocational career development for vulnerable family members. How is that accomplished?
When we started to do the discipleship training, especially from our church, we found that there are rampant needs due to poverty within the community members who especially were coming to church, but also those who were not coming to church. And one way we started to do that, to kind of meet the need, was to raise the money as much as we are able, and we distributed the food to the hungry families. We've been doing that, I think, for the last 15 years now. We are still, hardly raising money and trying to distribute food monthly to a few families we are able to reach out, and so they can have food, but also train them how to save even the little they earn, to save it and try to develop their own families, and invest it either in finding a home where they can stay as a family, or sometimes doing small businesses, especially for abandoned single mothers and widowed women who are illiterate and can't go out to compete on the job market for the elites jobs. So we train them and we give them skills on how to do the income generating projects. Yeah, regardless of the challenges we are facing, but we are doing the best we can to try and empower them in order to become self-sustaining and also be engaged in self income generating projects.
When I visited Rwanda, was able to see a vocational career development for women
Yeah.
while I was there. And they were teaching women cosmetology and also they were teaching them about sewing and those kinds of things. So I guess I'm asking, what type of vocational career developments are you doing for the persons that your ministry is coming into contact with?
We are trying to teach women how to use sewing machines to make clothes. And right now in Rwanda, they are encouraging something called made in Rwanda, so they can make clothes and sell them locally. But we also encourage them to learn the skill of the cosmetology. They're working on weaving hair and working on the hair, and other people involved into weaving using their hands to make handwork and be able to sell that. And the others are trained into different things, different skills they can do at domestic level.
So your vocational career developments for the young men?
The young men are usually encouraged to get involved in welding as one of the career that can help them to encourage make incomes, so they can practice welding, carpentry, and also some are interested in sewing. They can use the sewing machines to make clothes. Yeah, although they are young people or even young ladies. We have currently Rwanda over the years has been facing a challenge of teenage pregnancies. And so you find a young baby is actually carrying another baby. Yeah, 14-year or 12-year or 13-year. And most of those people, they find their hope in the church. So when they come to church and they're empowered, they stay and they make sense of the gospel, both for their faith, but also find hope for their living. Yeah.
I think it's important for us to go back and remember that Rwanda now is, you don't see a lot of older people because of the Civil War. You see a lot of younger people there. And you have to ask yourself, for these young people, like you said, the 14, the 15, and maybe when you look at those who are 20, it's like they're starting from zero. They're
Yeah,
starting from
actually, over 65% of our population is under 30 years, under 35 years of age. So everyone starts from scratch, just from almost from where you started. That's where most people start. Like over 95% are either orphans or born to single mothers or widowed, or they have those issues. And their only place of refuge is the church. That's where they run to with the hope to find two things. First, to find faith for their eternal destiny, but also to find a living. Majority of them, instead of coming to church and probably be discipled and support the church financially, they come to church actually to find hope for their future today in this life. So when such people come and you give them a training and a skill and you help them to start self-sustaining projects, and they begin to work and make a living, then you find they are making church a real place of their home and a real place of their life for the future.
I also noticed that there was a lot of agriculture there. A lot. I was surprised by that, but there's a lot of agriculture in uh, Rhonda. What do you are you all giving people the opportunity or encouraging your young people, your young families that are coming through to buy land for farming and that kind of thing?
Yeah, to the rural areas, because in the city you can hardly, do any agriculture. But in the city, there's what we call the garden. Let me
Hmm.
see how you call it, the garden for the family. So
Yes.
you can plant vegetables
Mhm.
in plastic cans or containers, just for you to get some vegetable so that you save the children from malnourishment problems. But mainly people who are in the rural areas, they're the ones who are supported. They come together in groups, they do savings, they try to do savings if they have some kind of income, which is very hard out there in the rural areas, because even casual jobs can hardly be obtained, can hardly be secured. But then when they are trained into such skills and grouped together into youth cooperatives and bring their money together, then they go out and hire land and then begin to invest in agriculture, commercial agriculture, where they can grow food for selling other than just their own consumption. So government is trying to encourage commercial farming,
Mhm.
but the need is so big that the government can hardly invest to the young people who are out there in the community and have nothing to do really.
Yeah. I when I was there traveling, the one thing I noted was how clean it is. And I was in Kigali. It was very clean city. And they told us not to bring any plastic. So I saw people actually working out on the streets, pulling weed and that kind of thing. So and I found that interesting. And here in America, what I didn't see any panhandlers. That I didn't see. I saw I saw people with bicycles loaded down with goods as if they were going to a market someplace to sell. That's what I saw.
Yeah,
So, it seems to me that it is a very it's a country where people are industrious and working very hard.
yes, it is. That's true. That was a true observation. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you're doing now here in the United States.
In the United States, primarily, I came here to study. One of the things that I did after starting the ministry was to seek for theological education, so that I will be able to carry out my ministry from an informed platform,
Mhm.
because I came to realize as I continue to serve the church that the church is not simply a local church, it is also a global church, it's a global ministry. And so it requires to have some standards of arising from knowledge, but also had a passion to train pastors,
Mhm.
because a lot of hundred, actually statistics have shown that more than 90% of African pastors are non-theologically trained. So you can imagine the kind of Christian product we put on the marketplace when the pastors themselves have no training, or others have had church-based, non-formal theological training. So my passion for training leaders had to take me back to school. After high school, I did a certificate, I did a diploma, launched into ministry for 10 years. Then alongside doing church ministry, I had to go back and do another diploma, because we had no graduate level theological training in the country. Then after finishing that that diploma, I did Bachelor of Arts in Theology and Leadership. And then 3 years later, I had to proceed to Kenya. where I could access graduate level training. So I did my master's in Kenya. I tried to also apply for a PhD and tried to attend, but it wasn't addressing my need to train thoroughly in Bible and theology all across. So I applied to several schools and I was picked by Lancaster Bible College, Pennsylvania, and at a PhD level, and have been there for 1 year and 1 semester. It's been a journey of its own challenge, and also journey of extensive learning, but also I would say intensive learning, really not extensive, intensive learning, but also as well, leading the church back home and teaching the college back home, college students. When I finished my master's, I was taken by my former college where I did my undergraduate studies to begin to come on board of the staff, faculty members, begin to teach undergraduate courses. So I came here basically to study. I come and go back to Rwanda and come back and stay and do classes and then go back. So really that is what is happening with me. But as I'm here and visiting different states, I am seeing another need, another ministry here. And a few pastors and churches have reached and preached. There's a very big need of immigrant Kinyarwanda speaking pastors from East African region, especially from Congo and from Uganda and Kenya. They are spread because Congo there has been a civil war. In Rwanda right now we have over 130,000 refugees of
Yeah.
Congolese in Rwanda and over 300 refugees in Uganda, our immediate neighbor to the north. And so people are spread all over and they are seeking for refugees in this country. But also, yeah, you find Rwandan immigrants who are here, these those from Uganda or those from Tanzania or those from Kenya, but who are from the Rwandan speaking communities. So these people, some of them they were pastors back in their home. Now they immigrated here and they are pastors. They are still shepherding their own people, their own family, and they don't have a theological training. Imagine a pastor in the United States and doesn't have a biblical knowledge or even theological training. So people are saying, you now that you can teach us a theological training in our language, we would ever appreciate if there was a means for us to come on board and be trained in our local language and also try to train in English as we build our English competency along the way. So that is something I'm pondering about and saying, maybe if we have some people to align with us while I'm here, we can offer that training to the pastors in Kinyarwanda. We have a program that I have been directing back home in my school of reaching out to the pastors on non-formal training level, but you teach them theology, you teach them Bible courses and leadership, church leadership courses, and so they are equipped and able to benefit their own ministries.
So
Yeah.
you're saying, let me just be clear. You're saying that there are immigrants here from the Congo, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Kenya, who are in need of uh, pastors who speak their language.
Yes, that's right.
Uh, the United States is so large. It's very large, and what we've come to learn are that immigrants sometimes will congregate in certain states that are they find more receptive. Here in the DMV, as you've been here, I don't know if you had a chance to travel, but there are quite a few churches that provide just what you said to they're no to I don't want to call them immigrants, but persons who are now citizens here, who come from these various different countries. So
Mm.
there are churches in the DMV, but I think as you go out into different states, it may not be as prominent as the ones that are located here in this area because the United States is so large.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
It is so large you can hardly cover the entire United States. At any point of time, we start from one place to another. I assessed a big need because when I came to Kentucky, here is where I was able to move to churches and see the need here. I go to school in in Washington, D.C. I am sure that need is also there. I think we can start from one point of a time at a time and see how to serve the pastors who are in need. Because although some churches have opened up and given them places of worship to congregate and pray and worship, but the church leadership is still so concerned about the kind of theology taught to these people with non-trained pastors at all. And when some churches have tried to provide English teaching volunteers, some of most of these cannot cannot make sense with these Rwandan speaking immigrants because first it's accent, second it's the level of education, and they can hardly fit into the local context here without a prior training that function is like kind of intermediary that is in between, whatever they are going to their future and from where they are, something to bridge the gap here. Some people are telling me, well, the church has given us a volunteer to teach us English, but we can't even hear the teacher. We can't hear anything. We go there and then we go there several times and we learn nothing and we just simply drop out. Because they can't easily connect to the local support provided locally here by American speaking volunteers. Nevertheless, there are some old pastors who are like going into their retirement, and because they left Africa when they are bishops, they are usually the ones who gather these, who have the members who have moved to the United States here, and they gather them to those local churches that have opened up to receive them. But they can't even learn English at all. Because their level of education first is too low. Sometimes the only language they have ever read is the Kinyarwanda Bible. And so if you bring an American teacher who speaks American to teach them English, they can hardly learn anything. And neither can they compete in the theological training centers here. So it's like they need some basics before they move to other levels of training. But of course, the young people, the children they have brought here in the United States are out there working, and so for them, they can easily follow the English services in the American English speaking churches, and they can really benefit and grow, but they are also busy working. They can hardly have time to disciple the members of their families within the churches where they're coming from. So I saw that as a need, and I thought, maybe this is something that can be supported. And when we are here, we can do the best we can. It's just contributing to life. You can never solve all the human problems here.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I want to ask you about how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend Irene. Those who are following you on your media platforms, I'm sure when they reach out to you, they can find me because you brought me on board. But I have my email address, I have the phone number here. Anyone who is interested in partnering with me, with the ministry back in Rwanda, or probably the ministry here, they are free to reach out to me on my email and also on my phone number here. So my phone number is 971-477-9433. 971-477-9433. And my email is Godfrey, Godfrey dot WOREM at gmail.com. So either you send me an email or you send me a phone number for more conversation on your area of interest or partnership. You are very much welcome. Churches, organizations, and individual persons can always partner with us. Thank you.
So let me just confirm that email address. You said GODFREY
Yes.
dot, and is it G or W? GOREM.
Yes. No, it's WOREM. After the dot is WOREM.
at Gmail.
Yes, at gmail.com.
.com. All right. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. We appreciate all that you have brought to my audience, and we want to wish you and pray the very best for your ministry as you move forward. And we know that God still has doors yet to open. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. And to my audience, remember that inside of us, God has given us a passion. So I pray that all that you've heard today, that you have been inspired. And along with your inspiration, that you've gotten some information on how you can move forward and the power of forgiveness. And that also that as you begin to put your inspiration with your information, you'll come forward with a transformation. To God be the glory. See you next week. God bless.
God bless you. Bye for now. Thank you for having me.